we'll end it all in pleasure. Right fa-la-la-la-li, to-ra-li-do, right fa-la-la-la-li, to-ra-li-do, right fa-la-la-la-li, to-ra-li-do, while we are together. So come on boys, let's raise our glasses, catch the bottle as it passes. Water drinkers are dull asses, while we are together. Let union be in all our hearts. Let all our hearts be joined as one. We'll end the day as we've begun. We'll end it all in pleasure. Right fa-la-la-la-li, to-ra-li-do, right fa-la-la-la-li, to-ra-li-do, right fa-la-la-la-li, to-ra-li-do, while we are together. Welcome, everyone. We are the Reves family. This is my son Morgan, and this is my wife Lesa, and I'm Rob Reves. I've been doing this for about 30 years now, and I've finally gotten my family to join me in the last 10 years in doing this. We do a lot of events. Debbie said, talk about things that we're thankful for. I'm thankful that you're going to let us assault your ears for probably the next hour and a half or so. A little bit about your flyer that came to us by Postwriter. We were, in fact, a little hesitant about coming up here this evening because in this post it says, if you wish, come dressed for the occasion. Thank God you're all dressed. We were reminiscing about the Reverend Joseph Doddridge, who was an Episcopalian circuit riding minister in Northern Virginia and Eastern Ohio in the 1770s. And Reverend Doddridge was very scandalized. A lot of times the women would come to his services on the frontier in their shifts and chewing tobacco. And in one instance, Reverend Doddridge was met by a number of women in a congregation, and they came to a water course and they said, Reverend Doddridge, remove your shoes and your stockings and your breeches so they won't get wet in the water. And Reverend Doddridge said, I will do no such thing. Well, the ladies held Reverend Doddridge down, and they took his stockings and his shoes and his breeches off and crossed him across the water course and gave him back to him and surrounded him so that he could put them back on again. So thank God you're all dressed, and thank God that we're not suffering the same humiliations that Reverend Doddridge did. Now, we titled this event Out of the Ordinary. And do you folks have an ordinary in this town? You don't have an ordinary in Onega? There's no place where you can possibly get a bite to eat and have a drink if you so desire? What's it called, young man? You don't know what it's called. What's your ordinary called here in town? The Sportsman. That's an excellent name for an ordinary. Now, let's say that we were all down at the ordinary this evening, which we probably should be in the first place, and Debbie Burgess came by playing a hurdy-gurdy with a dancing bear on a chain. What would we do? We would all rush out of the ordinary to see what was going on. And so that's why we've called our presentation this evening Out of the Ordinary. And that's one of the possible etymologies of the term out of the ordinary. Also, if we were in the Sportsman's and we were being pretty rowdy, the barman might say, mind your P's and Q's. And does anyone know where that term comes from? Mind your pints and quarts. Mind your P's and Q's. Mind your pints and quarts. So, some of the differences between modern music and some of the music that we're going to perform tonight, you expect a modern song to follow the same lyrics and the same tune every time. Not so in the 18th century, and in fact, not so for a lot of music even before the 18th century. Music had a wonderful plasticity to it. And, there are a number of reasons for that. A lot of people were not literate. I mean, there were plenty of people who were literate, but there were people that could neither read nor write. And in fact, a lot of the music of our day, and I'll pass this around so everybody can see it, was printed up as broadsheets and handed out, and you'll notice that there's no musical notation on these sheets. And the reason for that is, you know, people didn't read music, and like I said, a lot of people couldn't read, and so they got it all by ear. So, you know, you might know the tune that it was sung to, you might not. And in fact, a lot of broadsheets would say, you know, this bunch of words is to be sung to the tune of. It changed. In church every week, you know, you might sing the same hymn, the same words of a hymn, but you might sing them to a different lyric every week. And that's, you know, music had a wonderful plasticity. If it would meter out to the music, they sang it that way. And to illustrate that point, and I'm going to ask for some audience participation throughout the evening. I would like all of you to help me with face review and expectation, which was page 53 in the Olney hymnal. You're all familiar with that one?
No.
You're sure you're not familiar with that one? Well, we'll sing the first verse of it. We're just going to sing the first verse of it. And if you know it when we start singing, please join in. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. Amazing Grace was written in 1772, and does anyone know who the author of Amazing Grace was?
The slave trader.
Yes, he was. His name was John Newton. And Newton was aboard a ship, a slave ship in a terrible storm, and said that he would convert. You'll excuse me because this is very moving. It took Newton several more years to actually get out of the slave trade. He became the vicar of the church in Old England. He had the living of Olney, as it was said. And with the famous English writer William Cowper, Newton was an unlettered man, but a very passionate man. Cowper had the words, and so between the two of them, wrote wonderful sermons and wonderful hymns. And this was one of Newton's. So, you know, we sang a little bit of a naughty song there to start out with, and we may have a few more naughty songs that arise as we do this evening, but we thought we'd give you a little religious music to kind of to quell that. So we sang the first verse of Face Review and Expectation, and so like I said, you know, the words and the lyrics and the tune were not always married to one another. It might surprise you to know that Amazing Grace has been married to at least 23 tunes over the course of its life. And in fact, when Newton originally wrote it, it was probably spoken in church and not sung. The current tune that we sing Amazing Grace to is debated. They say that it is either the tune New Boston or a tune called Harmony Grove. And it was not married to that set of music until the 1830s. And so, you know, like I said, there's at least 23 others that it has been married to in that time. So, I know Amazing Grace. I know Face Review and Expectation. And I board a ship, and we get out to sea, and a terrible storm blows up. And we're blown to the colonial era of Florida. And we're blown to a place where there is a magic kingdom that's run by a mouse. And I know the words to Amazing Grace, but I can't remember the tune. And so down there we might sing, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see Amazing Grace. So you can see, you know, if it meters out. Now, if the captain and crew of the vessel that I were on were a skipper and a misguided first mate and a professor and a rich man, we might sing it this way. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. If we had landed in New Orleans, we might sing, Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. So you can see how easy it is to transfer music from one tune to another. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we venture on this evening. Since we're on a religious bent at the moment, I'm going to sing an Old English, what we would now consider a Christmas carol. This song is called Star in the East. It's about Christ's nativity. And I'm actually, stylistically, we're going to try to keep everything between 1700 and 1810 tonight, but I'm going to sing this in a style that's known as Sacred Harp or Southern Harmony, shape note music of the 1830s. And that was music that was written for people that couldn't read music. And I've always found it funny that they would come up with another system, because even with shape note, you still had to know the shape to apply, so you had to read something. So this is Star in the East. Hail the blessed morn, see the great mediator, down from the regions of glory descend. Shepherds go worship the babe in the manger. Lo, for his guard bright angels attend. Brightest and best of the sons of the morning, dawn on our darkness and lend us thine aid. Star in the east, the horizon adorning, guide where our infant Redeemer was laid. Cold on his cradle the dewdrops are shining, low lies his bed with the beasts of the stall. Angels adore him in slumbers reclining, wise men and shepherds around him do fall. Brightest and best of the sons of the morning, dawn on our darkness and lend us thine aid. Star in the east, the horizon adorning, guide where our infant Redeemer was laid. Say, shall we yield him with costly devotion, odors of Edom and offerings divine, gems from the mountain and pearls from the ocean, myrrh from the forest and gold from the mine? Brightest and best of the sons of the morning, dawn on our darkness and lend us thine aid. Star in the east, the horizon adorning, guide where our infant Redeemer was laid. Vainly we offer each ample oblation, vainly with gold his favor secure. Richer by far is the heart's adoration, dearer to God are the prayers of the poor. Brightest and best of the sons of the morning, dawn on our darkness and lend us thine aid. Star in the east, the horizon adorning, guide where our infant Redeemer was laid. Guide where our infant Redeemer was laid. Now I'm going to turn the floor over to my son Morgan, and he's going to sing William Taylor.
William Taylor was a brisk young sailor, full of heart and full of play, until he did his mind uncover to a youthful lady gay. 24 British sailors met him on the King's Highway, as he went for to be married. pressed he was and sent away. Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-di-the-row, Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-day. Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-di-the-row, Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-day. Sailor's clothing she put on, and went aboard of man of war. Her pretty little fingers, long and slender, they were smeared with pitch and tar. On that ship there was a battle, she amongst the rest did fight. The wind blew off her silver buttons, her breasts were bared all snowy white. Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-di-the-row, Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-day. Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-di-the-row, Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-day. When the captain did discover, he said, "Fair maid, what brought you here?" "Sir, I'm seeking William Taylor, pressed he was by you last year. If you rise up in the morning, early at the break of day, there you'll spy young William Taylor, walking with his lady gay." Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-di-the-row, Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-day. Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-di-the-row, Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-day. She procured a pair of pistols on the ground where she did stand. There she shot poor William Taylor and the lady at his right hand. Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-di-the-row, Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-day. Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-di-the-row, Father-riddle-dum-dubba-dee-ri-day. Huzzah.
Now, many of you may wonder if in the late 18th century you would have been able to hear music like this in this part of the world. More likely, you would have heard French songs. Fort de Cavagnol was established in 1744 down by Kansas City and was there until 1764. Small garrison, about 6 French Marines. Auguste and Pierre Chaudeau, the famous traders from St. Louis, clear down to New Orleans, clear up north. Pierre wrote Auguste from the mouth of the Kaw, and probably one of the first times that the word Kansas was in print. It was in the wintertime, and he wrote to his brother that he was at Chez Kansas, this place called Kansas, amongst the Kansas Indians there. So more likely that you would have heard French tunes, but the French were very accommodating people. There were many, many races that lived amongst the French, and also, this part of the country was under Spanish rule for quite a while. If you read between the lines of some of the things that Thomas Jefferson wrote, you can see where he thought it was a good ideal that people move out here. Under Spanish rule, if you agreed to raise your children Catholic and swore allegiance to the king, you get an axe, a barrel of corn, a hog, lots of things. And so when we finally did purchase, with the Louisiana Purchase, there was already a small contingent of ready-made population here. We reenact a lot at Fort Osage in Sibley, Missouri, and there was an incident that happened at Sibley after it was taken over and garrisoned by American troops, where some of the expats that were already there didn't want to be Americans again, and there was a small skirmish that was fought over it. So, it is very possible. Joseph Mackay, James Mackay, or McKay as it's variously pronounced, went up the Missouri with John Evans in the 1790s, and in fact, when Lewis and Clark came with the Corps of Discovery, they were using maps that Mackay and Evans had drawn of various points and various peoples that lived along the Missouri. So again, very possible that you could have heard this type of music. Back to the French. We're not going to sing any French for you tonight because the French we have is "On peut," and the song, one of the songs that I know is Giselle and the Bulrushes, and Giselle goes out to gather bulrushes, and many men do many naughty things to Giselle while she's out, so I really don't think that was appropriate for this evening, so we will dispense with the French, and most of the songs that you'll hear this evening are from the British Islands. And in that tradition, the next song that we're going to sing is called the Derby Ram, and this song derives from the market town of Derby in Great Britain. This was actually a May Day carol, and it is said that the Derby Ram was a favorite of General George Washington's. And in fact, he went to visit Oliver Ellsworth. And I like this because it maybe gives me a small family connection. The Ellsworth, Oliver Ellsworth was congressional delegate, Continental Congress delegate from Connecticut, excuse me. It is because of Oliver Ellsworth that we have a bicameral system of government, because the rest of the Continental Congress said ought to be by number of people that you have in your colony that we vote, and Ellsworth said, let's let cooler heads prevail, have a Senate composed of equal number and a House of Representatives by population. So General Washington was visiting Oliver Ellsworth, and they were living in the Reves mansion in Hartford at the time. And he had gone off with Oliver Ellsworth's twin sons, and when it came time for supper, they couldn't find General Washington, and he was finally found dandling one twin son on each knee and singing the Darby Ram to him. So this is the Darby Ram. As I went up to Derby upon a Derby day, I bought the finest ram, sir, that ever was fed on hay. And it's I, me dingle Derby, me Derby dingle day. It was the finest ram, sir, that ever was fed on hay. This ram he had a horn, sir, that reached up to the sky. The birds flew up to build their nest, you could hear the young ones cry. And it's I, me dingle Derby, me Derby dingle day. It was the finest ram, sir, that ever was fed on hay. The wool that came from his back, sir, 'twas both thick and thin, took all the women in Derby the rest of their lives to spin. And it's I, me dingle Derby, me Derby dingle day. It was the finest ram, sir, that ever was fed on hay. This ram was fat behind, sir, this ram was fat before, and every time his hoof came down it covered an acre or more. And it's I, me dingle Derby, me Derby dingle day. It was the finest ram, sir, that ever was fed on hay. And when this ram was killed, sir, there was a terrible flood. Took 24 butcher boys to wash away the blood. And it's I, me dingle Derby, me Derby dingle day. It was the finest ram, sir, that ever was fed on hay. The blood became a river, sir, that flowed down Derby Moor. It turned the biggest mill wheel that ever was turned before. And it's I, me dingle Derby, me Derby dingle day. It was the finest ram, sir, that ever was fed on hay. Now the owner of this ram, sir, he must be very rich, and the one who sung this song, sir, is a lion. And it's I, me dingle Derby, me Derby dingle day. It was the finest ram, sir, that ever was fed on hay. And it's I, me dingle Derby, me Derby dingle day. It was the finest ram, sir, that ever was fed on hay.
That almost sounds like it's an Irish lilt to that.
It does have an Irish lilt to it. And Rosie, there are in excess of 20 verses to the Darby Ram, because it was a very popular song and people just kept adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. But yes, there definitely is an Irish hook to that song. Since we've talked a little bit about the Continental Congress and talked about some of our heroes from the Revolution, the next song that I'm going to sing is called The Old Soldiers of the King. This was written by Benjamin Franklin. Franklin was a polymath. There wasn't a thing that he turned his hand to that he couldn't do. He wrote a lot of music in his youth. He wrote a song called The Downfall of Piracy, which is about the death of Blackbeard. He wrote one called The Antediluvians Were All Very Sober, which is a drinking song based on the English song Derry Down. And when he was 81 years old and was U.S. ambassador to France, there was a call that went out from the Royal Academy of Brussels for papers. And so Franklin never submitted this paper. He only submitted it in correspondence to a couple of friends, but he wrote a paper entitled Fart Proudly, The History of Flatulence. But anyway, in old age, some of the songs that Franklin had written in his youth, he would be asked about them, and he would say, "Oh, such stuff." He was embarrassed that he had written them. But this song was actually written during the Revolution. I think the earliest printing was in the Boston Gazette on November 27th of 1775, and this song is a set of words that is written to the tune of "The Old Courtiers of the Queen," and it's a little funny on the British Army. Since you all must have singing and won't be said nay, I cannot refuse when you beg and you pray. I would sing you a song, as the poets might say, of King George's old soldiers who ne'er ran away. We're the old soldiers of the King, and the King's own regulars. At Lexington we met with rebels one day. We got ourselves up in our finest array. Our heads bid us stand and our hearts bid us stay, but our legs were strong-minded and took us away. We're the old soldiers of the King, and the King's own regulars. We marched into Princeton with fife and with drums, with muskets, with cannons, with swords, and with bombs. This great expedition cost infinite sums, but some underpaid doodles, they cut us to crumbs. We're the old soldiers of the King, and the King's own regulars. They fought so unfairly from back of the trees. If they'd only fought open, we'd have beat them with ease. They can fight one another that way if they please, but we don't have to stand for such tactics as these. We're the old soldiers of the King, and the King's own regulars. 'Tis true that we turned, but that shouldn't disgrace us. We did it to prove that the foe couldn't face us, and they've nothing to boast, it's a very plain case. Though we lost in the fight, we came first in the race. We're the old soldiers of the King, and the King's own regulars. We're the old soldiers of the King, and the King's own regulars. Once again, going to turn the floor over to my son Morgan, who's going to sing The Little Drummer.
One fine summer's morning, both gallant and gay, 24 ladies went out on the quay, and a regiment of soldiers it did pass them by. A drummer and one of them soon got his eye. He went to his comrade and to him did say, 24 ladies I saw yesterday, oh, but one of those ladies, she has me heart won, and if she denies me, then surely I'm done. Go to this lady and tell her your mind. Tell her she's wounded, you poor heart inside. Go and tell her she's wounded, you poor heart full sore, and if she denies you, what can she do more? He went up to her and he said, pardon me, lady, for making so free. Oh, me fine honoured lady, you have me heart won, and if you deny me, then surely I'm done. Be off, little drummer, now what do you mean? For I'm the Lord's daughter of Ballycastine. No, I'm the Lord's daughter, that's honoured, you see. Be off, little drummer, you're making too free. He pulled on his hat and he bade her farewell, saying, I'll send my soul down to heaven or hell, for with this long pistol that hangs by my side, oh, I'll put an end to my own dreary life. Come back, little drummer, and don't take it ill, for I do not want to be guilty of sin, to be guilty of innocent blood for to spill. Come back, little drummer, I'm here at your will. We'll hire a coach and to Banshire we'll go. There we'll be married in spite of our foes. Oh, but what can they say when it's over and done? For I fell in love with the roll of your drum.
Huzzah. Well, the next song, many of you ladies who are of an agrarian background can identify with, and you'll also have a little bit of a surprise in the ending. This is called The Farmer's Cursed Wife. There was an old couple who lived on a hill. If they're not gone away, they're living there still, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. The devil he came to the man at the plow, saying, one of your family I'll take away now, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. Oh, which of me family do you like the best? 'Tis your scolding old wife that I like the best, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. So the devil he hoisted her up on his back, and away off to hell with her he did pack, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. The devil he opened a big iron door, and he tossed her in among 10,000 more, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. There were 10 little devils there hanging in chains. She up with her foot and kicked out their brains, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. Then 9 little devils come climbing a wall, saying, take her back, daddy, she's killing us all. Fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. So the devil he hoisted her up on his back, and like an old fool he carried her back, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. Here's your scolding old wife, and fare thee well. She can't go to heaven, but she can't stay in hell, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. Now I've been a devil most all of my life, but I've never been in hell till I met your wife, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. Which proves that women are better than men, then go to hell and come back again, singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. Singing fi, fiddle-I, fiddle-I, fi, fiddle-I, diddle-I day. Talking again about the plasticity of music, we had some folks come and join us one night in tavern, and my good friend and mentor Ed Wilde, whose family originally lived down by the Flush area. Ed is usually our singing master and our tavern master, and makes some of the finest hot buttered rum you'll ever drink in your life. But Ed and I were sitting together, and a lady from another group had come, and we finished The Farmer's Cursed Wife, and she said, oh, we sing that to the tune of Lily Bolero, which is an Irish tune. And Ed turned to me, and of course we were a little bit in our cups, and Ed said, do you know that song? And I said, yeah. And he said, can you really sing The Farmer's Cursed Wife to Lily Bolero? And you know, you got to think about it for a few minutes, but to the tune of Lily Bolero would be, and I got to think about this for a minute. There was an old couple who lived on a hill, Lily Bolero, bull and a law. They're not gone away, they're living there still, Lily Bolero, bull and a law. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, bull and a law. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, bull and a law. And so I got that much out, and Ed and I sat there for a minute, and he said, nah, take too long if we sing it that way. so we've kept it to the way that we've sung it ever since. So a little aside with the plasticity of music. Turn it over to Morgan again, and he's going to sing the tune Henry Martin. And recently, when we were at an event with some of our friends over at Fort Deschartres in Prairie du Roche, Illinois, a couple of ladies that are with our group over there were also learning Henry Martin, and so the two groups had a Henry Martin off, and Morgan acquitted himself very well. So Morgan, please sing Henry Martin.
Henry Martin is spelled with an I, not a Y.
Sorry.
Nobody else has written it.
There were 3 brothers in merry Scotland. In Scotland there lived brothers 3. And they did cast lots which of them should go, for to turn robber all on the South Sea. The lot it fell first upon Henry Martin, the youngest of all of the 3, that he should turn robber all on the South Sea, the South Sea, the South Sea, for to maintain his 2 brothers and he. They had not been sailing but a long winter's night, and part of a short winter's day, when he did spy a rich lofty ship, come a-bibing down him straight away. Hello, hello, cried Henry Martin, what makes you sail so high? I'm a rich merchant ship bound for fair London town, London town, London town. Won't you please for to let me pass by? Oh no, cried Henry Martin, that thing it never can be. For I have turned robber all on the South Sea, the South Sea, the South Sea, for to maintain my 2 brothers and me. Then broadside and broadside 4 hours that they went, for nearly 2 hours or 3, till Henry Martin gave her the death shot, the death shot, the death shot, heavily listing to starboard went she.
Very well done. The next one we're going to sing is Once There Was a Shepherd Bold. This song is set to a tune that's called Jamaica. We actually know 4 different songs that are set to this tune. Morgan's in the process of learning Let Us to Virginia Go, which is about an Englishman who sells his wife for money to become a bride in the Virginia colony. We also know one called Sometimes I'm a Tapster New, which we can't sing in polite company. So here is Once There Was a Shepherd Bold. And this one is not an incredibly nice song, but it's a lot nicer than Sometimes I'm a Tapster New. Once there was a shepherd bold, kept sheep upon the hill, sir. He rode out one May morning, all for to try his skill, sir. He rode east and he rode west, he took the other look-all, and there he spied a pretty fair maid swimming in a brook-all. Oh, don't you touch my mantle tree and leave my clothes alone, sir, and I shall give you as much gold as you can carry home, sir. Set her on a milk-white steed, himself upon another, and so they rode along the road like sister and like brother. As they was riding along the road, he spied some cots of hay, sir. Thought that such a dainty place for a man and a maid to lay, sir. Oh, stay until you get me home, until you lay me down, sir, for the dew that is on the hay will ruffle my silk gown, sir. When they came to the farmer's door, she rapped upon the ringer. There was none so ready as a servant maid to rise and let her in there. When she passed within the gate, she turned herself about, sir, saying, I'm a maid within these walls, and you're a fool without, sir. My father has a dunghill cock that runs among the hens, sir. Flaps his wings but dares not crow, I think you're one of them, sir. There's a flower in this garden grows, all scarlet Mary Goodall. A man who will not when he may, cannot when he would-all. Morgan, I think you're going to grace us with My Son John.
My son John was tall and slim, and he had a leg for every limb. But now he's got no legs at all, for he ran a race with a cannonball. Timmy-roo, don-don, fa-riddle-da, whack-full-a-riddle, Timmy-roo, don-don. Oh, were you deaf or were you blind when you left your two fine legs behind? Or was it sailing on the sea where your two fine legs right down to your knee? Timmy-roo-dum-dum, fa-riddle-da, whack-fa-la-riddle, Timmy-roo-dum-dum. I was not deaf, I was not blind when I left my two fine legs behind. Nor was it sailing on the sea where me two fine legs right down to me knee. Timmy-roo-dum-dum, fa-riddle-da, whack-fa-la-riddle, Timmy-roo-dum-dum. But I was tall and I was slim and I had a leg for every limb. But now I've got no legs at all, they were both shot away by a cannonball. Timmy-roo-dum-dum, fa-riddle-da, whack-fa-la-riddle, Timmy-roo-dum-dum. Timmy-roo-dum-dum, fa-riddle-da, whack-fa-la-riddle, Timmy-roo-dum-dum.
Very nice. Shift gears. Here's a song of lost love and found love called, what's it called, dear? No, it's not the Greenwood Lassie. We argued about this on the way over. Gypsy Rover.
Yes.
Gypsy Rover.
Oh, yeah.
Gypsy Rover came over the hills, down through the valley so shady. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. Audie-doo, da-day, audie-doo, day-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. She left her father's castle gate, she left her own fine lover, she left her servants and estate to follow the gypsy rover. Audie-doo, da-day, audie-doo, day-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. They rode till they came to a mansion fine, down by the river Clayty, and there was music and there was wine for the gypsy and his lady. Audie-doo, da-day, audie-doo, day-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. Her father saddled up his fastest steed, searched the valleys all over, sought his daughter at great speed, and the whistling gypsy rover. Audie-doo, da-day, audie-doo, day-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. Now he is no gypsy, me father, she said, but lord of these lands all over, and I'll stay with him till my dying day, my whistling gypsy rover. Audie-doo, da-day, audie-doo, day-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. No, and we never argue or fight about music. None of us, or any of our friends that sing. Recently, when we were at Fort Atkinson and Fort Calhoun, Nebraska at an event, we were at the Coalition of Historical Trekkers National Gathering, and Todd Wells is our leader, and we call him El Jefe. And El Jefe came over and he plunked his music books down in front of me, and I said, "All right, Jefe," I said, "what do you want to hear?" And before Todd could say anything, some wit two down from me said, "Sing Piano Man." And so I turned to him and I said, "It's 5 o'clock on a Saturday, and the Atkinson crowd rushes in. There's a beautiful woman sitting next to me, making love to her tonic and gin." And he was so surprised that I could even do it. And the lady that was sitting next to me is a dear friend of ours. She is a Buck Skinner's widow who comes and supports our events, and she does love to tip a glass every now and again. And she turned to me and said, "It's wine, honey, it's not gin and tonic." So we do have a little bit of fun when we do this sometimes. Back to the plasticity of music again. I am going to sing an Irish tune that is called the Greenwood Laddie, but in honor of my long-suffering wife, I came up with my own set of lyrics to Greenwood Laddie years ago, and so this is the Reves version of Greenwood Lassie. If you had seen my dearest, and her eyes shine the clearest, her cheeks like the red blood that is new dropped in snow. She is neat, small, and slender, and her hands soft and tender. She'll be my Greenwood Lassie, and the girl I adore. Down yonder bower, I've spent many's the long hour, pulling the flowers by yon clear winding shore. It was her stolen kisses made my fondest wishes. She'll be my Greenwood Lassie, whom I'll always adore. Your parents, my darling, they slight me with scorn, because I've no riches wrapped up in store. But the more that they slight me, the more you invite me. You'll be my Greenwood Lassie, and the girl I adore. For if I had the gold of the East or West Indies, for if I had the wealth of the African shore, for if I could gain thousands, I'd still lie on your bosom. You'll be my Greenwood Lassie, whom I'll always adore. If you had seen my dearest, and her eyes shine the clearest, her cheeks like the red blood that is new dropped in snow. She is neat, small, and slender, and her hands soft and tender. She'll be my Greenwood Lassie, till time is no more. Don't forget what? Oh, your old shipmates.
Yeah, we're gonna get it started again. Safe and sound at home again, let the waters roar, Jack. Safe and sound at home again, let the waters roar, Jack. Long we've tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmates, folly, rolly, 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 ride-o. We have worked the self-same gun, quarter-deck division, sponger I and loader you through the whole commission. Long we've tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmates, folly, rolly, 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 ride-o. Oftentimes have we laid out, toil nor danger fearing, tugging at the flapping sail to the weather earing. Long we've tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmates, folly, rolly, 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 ride-o. When the middle watch was on, and the time went slow, boy, who could choose a rousing stave? Who like Jack or Joe, boy?
Long we've tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmates, rolly, 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 ride-o.
Oftentimes have we laid out, toil no danger fear. Did I screw up?
Just keep going.
Ah, great. And then I'm stuck. Okay. Yeah, we'll just skip the line. There she swings an empty hulk, not a soul below now. Number 7 starboard mess, Mrs. Jack and Joe now.
Long we've tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmates, rolly, 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 ride-o.
But the best of friends must part, fair or foul the weather, and ye flipper for a shake, now a drink together.
Long we've tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmates, rolly, 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 ride-o. Long we've tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmates, rolly, 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 ride-o.
I'm gonna remember that missing lyric later tonight, and I'm gonna kick myself for it.
No, and if you'll notice, we have a line of titles, and that's all we have. So
I'm going off memory.
the lad's putting himself very well. Any of you, when you were younger, sing a song about a farmer and all the animals on his farm?
Yeah.
One of you sing it for me.
Yeah.
Come on.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on his farm he had a dog.
Well, guess what? We had Old MacDonald in the 18th century, but it sounded something like this. In the fields in frost and snow, watching late and early, there I milk my father's cows, there I keep them yearly. Mooing here, mooing there, moo there, a moo everywhere, moo weedify all care and strife, the charming country life. When the summer fleeces heap, watching late and early, there I shear my father's sheep, there I keep 'em yearly. Buying here, buying there, here a buy, there a buy, everywhere buy, we defy all care and strife in a charming country life. Then at home amongst the fowls, watching late and early, there I keep my father's owls, there I feed 'em yearly. Hooing here, hooing there, here a hoo, there a hoo, everywhere hoo, we defy all care and strife, charming country life. In the morning fair and fine, in the morning early, there I keep my father's swine, there I feed them yearly. Grunting here, grunting there, here grunt, there grunt, everywhere grunt, we defy all care and strife in a charming country life. In the morning ere 'twas light, in the morning early, there I met with my delight, once she loved me dearly. Wooing here, wooing there, here a woo, there a woo, everywhere woo, we defy all care and strife in charming country life. We defy all care and strife in a charming country life. All right, Dandy boy, why don't you sing this Randy Dandy-o?
Now we are ready to sail for the Horn. Way, hey, roll and go. And our boots and our clothes, boys, are all in the pond. To me, rollickin' Randy Dandy-o. Heave a polo, heave away. Way, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored. To be rollickin' Randy Dandy-o. Come breast the bars, bullies, heave her away. Way, hey, roll and go. Soon we'll be warping her down through the bay. To me rollickin' Randy Dandy-o. Heave a polo, heave away, way, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored to be rollickin' randy-dandy-o. Soon we'll be warping her out through the locks. Way, hey, roll and go, where the pretty young girls all come down in their frocks to be rollickin' randy-dandy-o. Heave a polo, heave away, way, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored to be rollickin' randy-dandy-o. Heave a polo, heave away, way, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored to be rollickin' randy-dandy-o.
Well done. How many of you watched Tom and Jerry cartoons when you were kids? Very nice, very nice. You remember the episode where he had Uncle Pecos come and stay with him? And Uncle Pecos sang,
"Wah, Froggy went a-courtin', he did ride, Crambone. Froggy went a-courtin', he did ride, Crambone. Froggy went a-courtin', he did ride, a sword and a revolver by his side. Froggy went a-courtin', he did ride, Crambo. Adiole. That's the old narrative, a little high for me."
well, guess what? Froggy Went A-Courtin' is an 18th century tune, and it has millions, I mean literally millions of iterations. If any of you ever saw Gary Cooper and Sergeant York, when the mailman comes to Pastor Pyle's store, he is singing one of the happiest versions of Froggy Went A-Courtin' I ever heard. And the chorus is a huge nonsense chorus that's something about King Kong, Michikitchicambo, and I just a beautiful job. But this is a more accurate version for the 18th century, and this is called Froggy Would a Woo and Go. Froggy would a woo and go with a, oh boy, having trouble getting this one started. Froggy would a woo and go with a hey ho, oh, whether his mother said yes or no. Hey ho, would a woo and go. Soon put on his high-cocked hat with a hey-ho, and out on the road he met with a rat. Hey-ho, would a woo and go. He came unto Miss Mousie's hall with a hey-ho, and they gave a loud rap and they gave a loud call. Hey-ho, would a woo and go. Said Miss Mouse, bring us some beer with a hey-ho, that we may be merry and have good cheer. Hey-ho, would a woo and go. Said Miss Mouse, sing us a song with a hey-ho, one that's pretty but not too long. Hey-ho, would a woo and go. As they were a merry-making with a hey-ho, the cat and kittens come tumbling in. Hey-ho, would a woo and go. The cat, she sees the rat by the crown with a hey-ho, and the kittens, they tumbled Miss Mousie down. Hey-ho, would a woo and go. Put the frog in a terrible fright with a hey-ho. So he put on his hat and he bid him good night. Hey-ho, would a woo and go. As he was a-crossing the brook with a hey-ho, a duck jumped out and gobbled him up. Hey-ho, would a woo and go. So dear friends, take my advice with a hey-ho. Don't share good beer with rats and mice. Hey-ho, would a woo and go. Froggy, would a woo and go. Two more and we'll stop assaulting your ears. This next song, how many of you were fans of the folk movement in the 60s?
The what?
The folk music movement in the 60s.
Yeah, okay.
Joan Baez sang a song called Mary Hamilton. And the version that I'm going to sing this evening is a little different than the version Joan Baez sang. Excuse me, Joan. And to give you a little bit of a background on Mary Hamilton, the song Mary Hamilton actually goes back to the 16th century. And Mary Hamilton, as you'll discover in the first verse, is said to have borne an illegitimate child to one of the Stuart kings in Scotland. Well, there is absolutely no record that this was so. But there was a branch of the Clan Hamilton, the Scottish Clan Hamilton, who ended up in the Russian court in the 1500s, and one of their daughters did indeed give birth to an illegitimate child from part of the Russian nobility. And again, to talk about the wonderful plasticity of music. So we have that story, you know, the story we're singing in this song is a story of Scotland, but it was probably of events that happened in a Russian court. And at the end of the song, the Mary Hamilton spoken of in this song is one of the four Marys who were the handmaidens to Mary Queen of Scots. And so you see how you can jump various images from various time periods and put them all together in one song. So this is Mary Hamilton. Word is to the kitchen gone, and word is to the hall, that Mary Hamilton's born a babe to the highest steward of all. She put the babe in a tiny boat and cast him out to sea, saying, you might sink or you might swim, but you'll never return to me. Then the Queen came down the stairs, saying, Mary, tell to me what thou hast done with thy bonny wee babe. I saw and heard weeping by thee. Arise, arise, Mary Hamilton, and put on your robes of brown. But she put on her robes of white to ride into Edinburgh town. When she came to the Parliament, laughter was ringing on high. But when she came back down the stairs, she was condemned to die. Last night I washed the Queen's own feet and gently laid her down. And the only reward that I have for this is to be hanged in Edinburgh town. As she was riding to the hanging place, the city came out to see. The ladies and the maidens fair cried out, but alas for thee. Cast off my gown, she cried, but let my petticoats be, and tie a napkin round my face, for the gallows I would not see. Last night there were 4 Marys, tonight there'll be but 3. There was Mary Beaton, and Mary Seaton, and Mary Carmichael and me. It's tradition amongst the group of us who originally started singing years ago to end our evenings with an Irish song called The Parting Glass. And Morgan knows a slightly different version than the one that I originally knew. But there are a number of iterations of The Parting Glass. If any of you have seen Tullamore Whiskey advertised on television, they had a commercial that featured The Parting Glass. To give you a little bit of a funny aside about camp life, a number of years ago we were singing The Parting Glass, and we had a young man whose last name was Tunison from Ada, Kansas, and he and I were teasing one another because I have some Tunisons in my background that were probably kin. And you'll note that when we end this song, we're gonna stand up for part of it. And when we sang that particular part of the song, and we were probably well into our cups by that time, we were sitting at a bench, and when he rose up, he caught his knees on the back of the bench, and out of my peripheral hazy vision, I could see him going over and reach, but missed him, and so he landed with his head on the floor, and we kept singing. And when we were done, we picked him up, and a couple of the boys, we were at if any of you have ever been to Fort Osage at Sibley, Missouri, you come out the fort gate and there's a fairly deep draw, and we were camping on the other side. Well, I'd stayed behind to help our tavern master, Ed Wilde, clean up. The boys were taking him around the end of the draw, and he caught his feet and went rear over tea kettle down to the bottom of the draw and broke 2 toes in the process. So not a very, very pleasant evening for him, but one that's very well remembered by the rest of us. So we'll end our evening with the parting glass. Of all the money that e'er I spent it in good company, and all the harm that I ever did, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. If I had money enough to spend, and leisure time to sit a while, there is a fair maid in this town that sorely has my heart beguiled. Her rosy cheeks and ruby lips, I own she has my heart enthralled. Then fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away. And all the sweethearts that I e'er had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be with you all. Good night and joy be with you all. Thank you, Debbie, for hosting us this evening.
Thank you. And even though you don't all have cups, let's pretend we have a cup and raise it up to the Reves for entertaining us this evening. And I didn't realize what ordinary meant. I thought when they gave me the title, it just simply meant it was going to be a different kind of music. What did the rest of you think? I had no clue that was. So, and I didn't really read it quite that way coming dressed. But Tim Kite has taught with me long enough to know that there's been plenty of goof ups and it won't be the last one.
It happens to all of us.
So I do want to thank you. That was very, very entertaining. And how many of you learned a little bit about history that you had no clue? That's fabulous. And the background on songs, and you know, I'm not a music person at all.
Neither are we.
I couldn't tell it. And to hear that music is plastic, how many of you have heard that term before? I had never heard that before, so there was a lot that I learned tonight. I did know what P's and Q's stood for.
Debbie, I got one last musical comment, and it took me almost 30 years to learn this, you know, getting into this kind of music. When my grandfather, God love, used to go to the milk barn of an evening. Excuse me again. Grandpa would whistle. Took me to be 30 years old and have lost him to find out that that is actually, it was all on a fine summer's morning when the birds sweetly tuned on each bough. I spied a damsel most charming, a pretty fair maid a-milking her cow. Her voice, it was chanting melodious. She left me scarce able to go. My heart, it was soothed in solace. Sweet Colleen de Scroochen a bow, which is pretty maid milking her cow in Irish. And to this day, you know, I wish he'd lived long enough for me to find out where he, you know, learned to whistle that lyric from. So.
Isn't it neat the way personal stories are shared when Rob and the family talk? How many of you have some memories come back to you then about special little songs and tunes in your lives? By your sharing, it helps us grow also. So thank you very much. Something else a lot of you don't know. We are down here tonight through the graciousness of Rob. We were to be up at the museum, and if you think about sitting in the museum tonight, it would have been just a little hot. And the acoustics would not have been near as wonderful as it was down here. And so let's give them a round of applause. Now I have a little guy that's just been dying to know if he's going to win the tractor. So Rob, I'm going to let you, well, Morgan, I'll let you
Yeah.
pull out the winning.
Interesting thing I should say, International, that's the same brand as the character Tow Mater from Cars. That truck is actually based in Galena, Kansas. Anyway.
You want to read it for
And
us?
Howard Litch owned the original from Galena.
Calvin Matson?
Caden.
Oh my
You're
God.
kidding
Caden
me.
Matson.
Caden Matson. And you all saw there was no. Caden, you got it. Tractor. And you saw there was no favoritism at all. You know who you were. Oh, that's so neat. Just a few other things before I let you go. Maybe somebody can turn some lights on for us. And the silent auctions, if you're the high bid, pay Alicia Matson for that and take your item with you. And if you still want to bid on something or there's some stuff that has not been bid on, feel free to do that. We have some food for sale. If you want to buy that, I'm going to ask that you give the money to Joan. The ice cream, there's 94 cups of ice cream left. They're $1 a cup if anybody wants ice cream. There's 34 thawed hamburger patties. And they're, which is 6 pounds, and they're $27 for the whole, the 24 patties. There's 6 packages of 16 hamburger buns in a package for $3 a package, and 5 packages of hot dog buns with 16 in it for $3. So if anybody wants to buy any of that food, be sure to get it and pay Joan, which would be great. If you haven't signed the book in front by the donation jar, please do that. And the only reason we have you sign in, well, one of the reasons, the main reason, is the county commissioners give us give the Historical Society $5,000 a year to run the museum off of. If any of you have ever helped with the museum, you know that barely touches anything anymore. And then we send in a report, and on that report we have to report how many visitors we have to our museum or programs that the museum puts on. And so that's why each one of you becomes very important. You become important statistic for us, so be sure to do that. And then if we raise $5,000, the county commissioners will match us another $5,000. So we have been able to do that the last few years, receiving $10,000 from the county. That sounds like that should be adequate to run a little museum in Onega, Kansas, but how many of you have had your utilities go up? It pushes us. It really does. And then when we're trying to build, and then when we have repairs to do like the log cabin floor, we get a little floored, don't we, Deanna, at times, on how to do things. We certainly appreciate you all coming, and I can't thank you enough. We'll have to find out what more programs they do. You know, we still have part 2 of Civil War. But we certainly, they are reenactors. If any of you are interested in finding out a little bit about where they go and what they do, why, feel free to visit with them. There's a few cookies yet. If you want some cookies or polka dot cake, why, help yourself. And Judy, we want to thank you for making available the community center, the senior center for us, because you do a pretty good job of messing up your environment. And we thank you for the patience on having us do that. So that's all. If you, there are, Linda Rudenkamp, do you have something you want to say?
No, I'm just saying, good job.
Oh. I thought she was going to talk about the building fund just a minute, but you've heard a lot about that. So thank you, thank you.